Well, all right, we have hit 7:15, and I believe we are all present at the dais here. So we will continue on to the regular session. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Here.
Councilmember Saper?
Here.
Councilmember Tull?
Here.
Councilmember Smith?
Here.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Here.
Councilmember Roberts?
Here.
All right, there we go. Got my pen. Now we're good to go. Pledge of Allegiance today will be led by Councilmember Clark. All right. Moving right along, I am going to remove item number 20. It's being removed from the agenda at the request of the developer. The opportunity for public comment on the Chapter 100 bond matter is being continued to the November 2nd, 2021 meeting commencing at 7 p.m. Next up is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Next item, comments from the public.
Hi, guys. My name is Lisa Daginger. I live at 2414 Erie Street. And I wanted to say that during your discussion of the redistricting, I noticed that there was an emphasis put on people that voted on the website. And I wanted to say that I tried to vote on the website several times, and I don't know if the technical difficulty was through our server or SurveyMonkey or Link City, but I wasn't able to do that. I did make my opinion known on the Facebook page, and so, I thought that that might also carry some weight. I'd like to thank Sarah and Kim because they were severely gracious in the way that they dealt with the changes and how things had to work, and I really thank you for that. It's very nice. And I really appreciated Wes's suggestion about allowing the staff more time to adjust the map and the residents time to review and discuss it with council people. I like the idea of the big boards and letting us look at it because I have looked at those maps and I had a hard time finding my house. And so I am grateful to have the big maps. And I'm looking forward to the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Next public comment, please.
Good afternoon, good evening. I'm George Schluter. I live at 800 East 23rd Avenue, and I was first watching your work session on Channel 2, and it got to me where I had to come down here and talk. Ms. Tall, Mr. Safer, I appreciate you all talking about the fact that we're supposed to be doing this for the city of North Kansas City, not for your all's election. And I think that's an important thing that all of you need to take into account. You're elected in your district right now to serve for 2 years. When it gets changed, the next election, whatever district you're in, you have the opportunity to run. I'll be looking at that very seriously, and I'll be looking at the comments that each of you make at the work session. I look forward to it.
Thank you. Next comment, please.
Hey, Dave Wood, 2414 Erie Street, currently still in Ward 1, depends on what map we're looking at. I'm going to talk about the mask mandate. I'm going to request that you end the mask mandate. I've got just a few high-level facts for you. Clay County, no mask mandate. Platte County, no mask mandate. Riverside, Gladstone, no mask mandate. A lot of people say, well, yeah, but Kansas City has a mask mandate. Well, we all know that's irrelevant because if you look at Facebook even 5 minutes a day, you can see everybody complains about nobody's following the mask mandate in North Kansas City or Kansas City. So it's kind of an irrelevant thing. we've all done it. We've all seen it done. I mean, I know all of you have been in violation. Everybody in this room has probably been in violation of the mask mandate at some point. So it's no longer necessary. When you look at the statistics, because we're all about data sometimes, but even with nobody following the mandate and all these outlying areas don't even have a mandate, all of the data shows us that the COVID numbers are going down. The hospital report that you're going to look at later, I think they show something like 26 new cases. We don't know where those people came from. I bet you they're not all from North Kansas City. If you look at the Mid-America Regional Council page, they track this stuff as well. Across the board, every area in the MARC region, numbers are going down. It's real easy to spot because they're big green numbers. I mean, everything over the last month is down double digits across the board. And that's even with people ignoring the mandates or no mandates. So on a larger scale, if you think about, and I'm sure some of you have heard this, the experts told us, when the NFL season started, all these fans going to the stadiums were going to cause all these giant super spreader events. Guess what? We're in week 7. Hasn't happened. Cities and states have tried bribing people to get vaccines, offering lotteries. Guess what? It didn't work. Nobody wants the mandates. I mean, the information's out there for people. It's time to let the people decide. You want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. There shouldn't be any judgments. So we need to get rid of this mask mandate. And I'll just leave you with this, and I told you I wasn't going to take long. Something that won't show up in any survey, any statistic that you look at is people generally don't like to be told what to do. So let's do some more education. Let's keep educating people. Let's get rid of this mask mandate. If a business or if City Hall wants to require a mask to come in, that's fine. That's okay. That's your right. It's also our choice if I don't want to go to that business because they require a mask, or maybe I don't want to go to that business because they don't require a mask. That's my choice. We should be allowed to make that choice. So again, I'm asking you, please, let's end this mask mandate madness. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, public comments, please.
Hi, my name is Richard. I live at 1002 East 24th Avenue, Ward 3. Sheets, S-H-E-E-T-S. I appreciate the opportunity to make these comments up here. I've also participated in some of the online discussions, and I think that I agree with Councilman Graves that it's not the proper place to have these. And I agree with Dave Woods that we don't need to be having this mask mandate anymore. The first common argument I hear from these cases is, well, it's because of the mask mandates that the cases are going down. But if you look at the graphs on the Clay County website that follow all the different municipalities, they're all going down. And if we're the only ones in a small portion of Kansas City, I have a real hard time believing that it's our bubble that's causing that. The 7-day change overall shows a decrease in cases down 15%, and hospitalizations are down 16%, and that's just in the last 7 days. And looking at these bell curves and using the power of deduction, we can determine one of two things. One is that the mask mandates have little to no effect on the reported number of COVID cases, or two, that it's us making the difference, and I don't think that either one of those are likely. Dave touched on the hospital. I agree. I don't think most of those cases are from us. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy with the mask mandate. Many of you have eaten in a restaurant. You walk in, you get to your table, and all of a sudden a magic bubble appears and you're automatically immune to COVID. That's just not in Northtown, but that's everywhere. And are those 30 seconds of walking to your table more important or more dangerous than the 2 hours that you spend there? And social media has made everything transparent. We see that all the time. Again, he touched on, members of the council, people in this room, even Mayor Lucas at public events, indoor, outdoors, no mask. So what's the motivation to keep pushing the agenda? If our representatives feel so strongly about it, then why are they not living up to the standards that they set themselves? There's hearsay about federal aid funding private business incentives, which I don't have any data on. But if that's the case, is that what this is about? We really just want to see a cohesive, a better explanation. We're enforcing it because that's what the CDC says. And for me and quite a few of my neighbors, that's not good enough anymore. We want to see a thought-out strategy, a clear explanation, and the result of critical thinking on your part. Another example of the hypocrisy is the masks themselves. The research states that the masks need to be a level 3, which is 3 layers, or an N95, which is a complete particle blocker, to be effective. COVID is not an airborne virus. It's spread by droplets. It's spread by entering your mucous membranes, and most commonly from a person touching a surface with the virus and then touching their face. The best prevention we can take is to practice social distancing and proper hand hygiene, washing your hands for 20 seconds and trying not to touch your face. Soap breaks down the lipid membranes of the virus and kills it, so washing your hands is actually the best thing that you can do. Masks only help you not spread COVID if you have it. If you don't have it, then it's literally doing nothing to help. It doesn't prevent you from getting it if you aren't aware of how it spreads. We're killing our businesses. The data shows is what we hear when we're talking about enforcing the mandate, but let's look at the other side of that coin. Where's the data that shows how the mandates affected the businesses here in Northtown? These businesses that we love so much and we want to support. I've personally spoken to several business owners down here, and the general consensus is it's not something that's sustainable. People are going out of their way to avoid our businesses down here because they don't want to wear a mask or they don't agree with the enforcement, even vaccinated people. So what then is the fine line that council is taking? What are you doing to not only enforce public health policy, but also work with businesses to support them through this time? I don't know. We haven't got any feedback on that. Where's that data? Finally, Harrods. I don't know if you guys have been there lately, but it's a ghost town. Half their exhibits are shut down. There are a golden goose. And if they were to decide to leave, where are we going to get all this money for these projects that we have? What are the long-term ramifications of this policy? Where's the money going to come from for new police cars, the cobblestone sidewalks, road projects, park renovations, wastewater facility rehabs? The curbs in front of Mack and Park are $600,000 office remodels. We are in such a fortunate position down here that we've got solutions looking for problems. My solution is let's just be adults. Let's think for ourselves. Let's practice proper distancing, hand hygiene, and educate people on how it actually spreads. I don't think we need it. I know I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, public comment, please.
Mindy Hart Davis. I live at 1008 East 21st Avenue and am a business owner here in North Kansas City. The first thing that I want to do is be really obnoxious about my roles. I want to invite you all to the Spooky Snake Saturday this weekend. The carnival opens up on Friday night at about 5 o'clock, and we have a Ferris wheel and the biggest carnival we've had in the history of Snake Saturday. So come out, join us for this stationary trunk or treat. We've got lots of good things going on. So now that I've done that, I'm going to be very obnoxious and be very clear that my following comments have nothing to do with Snake Saturday, nothing to do with any of the opinions of anybody of that entity. This is from me as a resident and a business owner. My business partner's husband, I say the husband because she got married last week at St. Luke's Hospital on Berry Road because her fiance was not expected to live. He was not vaccinated. He got COVID. He's now transferred to North Kansas City Hospital. So the numbers that we have, he's one of that 26 that does not live in North Kansas City. And he was not vaccinated. And that was his choice, as we all have choices in this pandemic. How does that impact? Well, it's one of the things that we've had to really discuss, my business partner and I, because our business is down to COVID shutdown numbers. I personally am putting in over $1,000 a month just to keep my doors open in my business out of my own pocket. We're not going to survive this. When the lease is up in June, I don't see us being able to continue on. Because I have customers, now I will say I put in UVC light sanitation. I was the first person in North Kansas City to do that. In fact, within days of the pandemic being announced, I was the one that brought in a live stream to talk about what safety measures we could do in our businesses. And that was the first thing Dwayne Doherty told me. He was the chief safety officer at Ground Zero for pulmonary safety at Ground Zero. And that was the first thing he said, put in UVC lights. So I did. I've done everything that I can do to keep my business open. My customers, they don't want to come to Northtown because either they're tired of wearing masks, their kids are tired of wearing masks at school. It is a difficult thing to navigate. So what I think is that just like with my business partner's husband, the onus should be on each and every one of us to do what we deem necessary to keep ourselves safe and keep the safety of our customers. So if a business says, hey, we want you to have a vaccine card, I have a choice of whether or not to go in there. If they say we want you to wear a mask, then I have a choice of whether or not to go in there. If I have a customer, I have a little girl, she's 10 years old, she has severe anxiety attacks, and she said, Miss Mindy, can I come paint at the studio, but are you gonna make me wear a mask? Because she hyperventilates. She can't do it. Her therapist is even like, it's traumatizing to her to wear the mask. I can't make her wear a mask and do what we do. So guess what? Right now, she can't come to my studio and get the art therapy that she needs because we have a mask mandate. So at the end of the day, we all have the onus as business owners to do the best that we can, which I have done in my studio. And you cannot tell me that 5 people in my studio that maybe are friends, they go to school together, in my studio doing painting or music is more dangerous than anybody in any restaurant sitting next to each other, drinking and eating for a few hours. How is that proximity, my studio, more damaging, and yet my customer has to wear a mask? I would think it's time for a little bit of common sense. And yes, I'm heartbroken that my business partner's husband is literally in ICU right now fighting for his life because of this horrible disease. So you see that there's a conundrum here. But at the end of the day, we all have to use our own common sense, our own judgment, and we have to think about the bigger picture and who is ultimately responsible for our decisions.
Thank you. Further public comments? Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed? No. Motion carries. I guess-
Number 11, public hearing, water and sewer rates.
Kim.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sorry. Got a big binder this go. In August of this year, we provided a work session to discuss the results of our water and sewer rate study. You guys may remember, but Tom from Ref Telus presented on kind of where our water rates are and what the recommendations would be moving forward. The City Council did provide direction at that particular meeting, and the City Council's direction was to call for an increase of 25% in sewer rates and an increase of 20% in sewer rates. As we put together the budget, I think I said sewer for both. 25% in sewer rates and 20% in water rates. Sorry, I'm fogging up here. So the city staff did use those assumptions when we were assembling the at the time proposed fiscal year budget for 2021-2022. And that item was adopted by the City Council. Before you today is the formal ordinance that would set those rates for the future calendar year, which is 2022, or 2022.
I'm sorry, I read my agenda in the wrong order here. Just so everyone knows, we are doing a staff report. We will open a public hearing. We'll do the public comments, and then I'll close the public hearing. But I'm sorry, I just wanted everyone to know that that is coming up on this item as well.
No worries. So part of that is a public hearing, as the mayor kind of mentioned. So the City Council will host that item right after I finish my staff report. And then there are 2 separate actions for the City Council to consider. One of those is to set the sewer rates, and one of those is to set the water rates. So it's two separate actions.
Thank you. With questions for staff? All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, the water sewer rates, please step up to the podium.
Just real quick, is there a way that we can get, instead of providing TIF money, that we can get the residents that currently live there and currently pay personal property tax to cover any more of this? So instead of a 20% increase, we can make it a 30, maybe even a 50% increase and cover the new residents of the new apartments that we're TIFing out? Jason Jones,
Jason Jones.
1024 East 23rd Avenue.
Using other revenue, property tax revenue to cover more of this. I mean, that's generally is considered an enterprise fund, and so that the rates we charge should be what pays for the expenditures of this. There is a tier system based on the
Everyone's
size.
paying equally, so the new developers of the apartments are paying for the water service just as the residents are?
Yeah, that would be, yeah, depending on the size of their, I'm not a water person, their inbound pipe and everything,
So
Yes,
that's
yes.
covered under the.
yeah, that's not
TIF
covered
and all
under
that.
property taxes, that's covered under a separate fund.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, thank you. Further public comments on item 11? That was horrible.
Hello, Jeff Bailey, plant manager in Greedion. So, I first watched the work session on YouTube, and I knew that there was some changes coming, and I don't know if it necessarily hit me until what that meant for my plant, for my business, until I started to crunch some numbers. And I want to acknowledge that you all have a tough job to do. It's incumbent upon you to do what's best for your city and for your communities, and Greedion's a part of that. We've been in North Kansas City for 100 years. And, if these charges do proceed to increase over the course of the 5 years as proposed, the total impact to Ingredion will be $15.5 million. So that's a number that, that I have to plan for. And we will take whatever steps necessary to minimize the impact of that to the plant. But it's something that I don't know if it was truly expressed in its holistic nature at the last meeting, and it's something that I really wanted to ensure that everybody was aware of prior to considering the rate changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comments on item number 11? Seeing none, I am going to close the public hearing, and then we move on to item number 12. Is that correct? Okay, go ahead, please.
Item 12, sewer rates for calendar year 2022, bill number 7636, ordinance number 9433.
All right, Kim.
So this particular item is to set the sewer rates for calendar year 2022, and this ordinance would call for an increase of 25% in sewer rates.
Council member comments. Councilmember Toll.
I just wanted to say, and people may have already read this, but it's not an increase to pad our pockets. We're currently helping this fund with gaming fund. We're supplementing it. So we're trying to get this area that it should pay for itself. So that's what the increase was about. And if you weren't able to watch the work session, we're quite a bit below all surrounding areas. So this isn't a move to pocket money or hold money. It's an attempt to get the fund to pay for itself.
Yep, and as I described, being the enterprise fund, that is the goal here, is for, users to pay for what they're using. I thought I saw Councilmember Clark, but she's saying no. Councilmember Clevenger.
Couple of things. Yeah, certainly this is a big job. Councilmember Toll already talked about it, and the mayor did as well, as trying to use the rates and what we charge for the fund itself and getting away from using gaming fund. In the earlier meeting, there was two options presented. A few of us have voted for a kind of a slower increase option to kind of wean the funds off the gaming fund in the next 3 or 4 years. I think it was like 2 or 3 years, but the council as a whole decided for the higher increase and to rip the Band-Aid off. But there were a few of us that asked for that did support the slower increase option.
Further council member comments? Is there a motion for first reading?
First reading?
Second.
All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no.
An ordinance establishing new sewer service charges, amending section 13.08.020 sewer charges of the code of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7636 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9433.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
An ordinance establishing new sewer service charges, amending section 13.08.020 sewer charges of the code of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri. Item 13, water rates for calendar year 2022, bill number 7637, ordinance number 9434.
All right, this is the other half of our previous discussion. Were there any other council member comments on this?
First reading?
Second. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
An ordinance amending the code of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri by amending subparagraphs 1 and 2 of paragraph B of section 13.04.140, water rates and charges of chapter 13.04, water service system.
I move that bill number 7637 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9434.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
An ordinance amending the code of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri by amending subparagraphs 1 and 2 of paragraph B of section 13.04.140, water rates and charges of chapter 13.04, water service system. Item 14, Standard Insurance Company Contract 2022 Group Basic Life and AD&D, Group Additional Life and AD&D, and Long-Term Disability Coverage. Bill number 7638, ordinance number 9435.
All right. Kim.
I'd like to call on the Human Resources Manager, Casey Campbell.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you all remember, we marketed all of our benefits for 2022. This is the last piece of that puzzle. You have all in your packet all of the documents that would that are related to our life insurance and long-term disability coverage for our city employees. Staff recommends approval of the standard life insurance company agreement for group basic life insurance and AD&D, group additional life insurance and AD&D, life and long-term disability for the city of North Kansas City from January 1st, 2022 through January 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council?
First reading?
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no.
An ordinance adopting and approving the group insurance application with Standard Insurance Company for life insurance and for long-term disability insurance for the employees of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7638 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9435.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
And Councilmember Roberts.
Yes.
An ordinance adopting and approving the group insurance application with Standard Insurance Company for life insurance and for long-term disability insurance for the employees of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri. 15, acquisition of certain property interest in real property for the Burlington Corridor Complete Streets Plan for the public purpose of improving infrastructure in the city of North Kansas City along Burlington. Bill number 7640, ordinance number 9437.
Kim.
I'd like to call on the city's councilor, Tom Barzee.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Before you this evening is an ordinance that simply authorizes now a program that you have already adopted and it's been discussed publicly, and that's the Burlington Corridor Complete Streets project, if you will. This authorizes us now to actually make offers to people for the acquisition of certain property interest, and to remind each of you, we are not acquiring anyone's property in total, and we're not affecting anyone's building, their structure itself. In fact, if you look at all of them, if my memory serves me correctly, most of them are temporary construction easements that allows us to be on, not me, but allows the contractor to be on someone's property while they're working in right-of-way or what have you. There are some permanent sidewalk easements, some permanent drainage easements, and some permanent right-of-way that will allow us to do the program. So most of it hopefully will be acquired by negotiations, and if not, this also authorizes the exercise of the city's power of eminent domain to acquire those for the public purposes stated in the ordinance itself. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any council member comments? Seeing none, is there a motion for first reading?
First reading.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. We have one no. Councilmember Saper. Motion carries.
An ordinance declaring the public necessity to acquire certain property interests, permanent and temporary, along Burlington in the city of North Kansas City for the Burlington Corridor Complete Street Plan for certain public infrastructure improvements, authorizing acquisition of interest, rights, and estates in certain lands and all associated appurtenances and improvements by negotiation or, if necessary, by condemnation. Authorizing the mayor, the city councilor, and other appropriate city representatives to, 1, obtain and execute all instruments necessary for acquisition of such land and property interests, and 2, take such action as may be required or necessary to carry out the intent of this ordinance.
Tony, do you want to, or Councilmember Saper, was there any comment you wanted to make? Because it's always open, right, for comment, even before I make a second reading.
Yeah, when I call
Okay.
for, yeah. Further council member comments?
Thank you. I have been opposed to what I'm increasingly calling this incomplete streets project on Burlington from the very beginning, and I continue to be. And until I am convinced otherwise, I will continue to vote no, because I see it as ill-advised for us to increase the beauty of people who are transiting North Kansas City, going between downtown and further north. And I don't think it helps, actually, the residents who live here. I'm not even sure that it helps many businesses who function here. And I think it's a waste of money. Simple as that.
Thank you, Councilmember Graves.
I appreciate your comments, Councilman Saper, and you actually just changed my mind.
All right, Councilmember Clark.
I would say my thought on it is the increase of intermodal transportation, allowing people many options and opportunities to get here into our city and to go to our businesses. Allowing the option before, say, like a streetcar. Yeah, we like to see that, cars can pass through here quickly in Burlington, but I think the whole idea is just to have them take a look and go, I'm going to pull off and grab something to eat, or I'm going to pull off and meet a friend. I mean, I think that's my mindset of where I see it, is like welcoming people. And it's, I definitely appreciate your feedback and your insertion there. But
Councilmember Clevenger.
There's no question. I think, people coming into our city, we want to have a good face. We want to have a good product to present to them. Burlington is not pedestrian friendly now. I know a lot of people, some people don't use it, but some people do. I know that some people have said, our infrastructure and looking at that, and we're looking at what we need to do infrastructure wise for the meat and bones of our community. But I mean, I understand your point, Councilman Safer, but, I mean, I would think we would want, when people are coming through, don't want it just, warehouses and run down, not that that's all that we have there on Burlington, but just, a nice facility, a nice area that they can drive through, that they get a good first impression of North Kansas City if they haven't already had one.
Thank you. Further, Councilmember Saber.
I agree with you, council member, but we can have a nice, appealing, effective transit system, meaning all kinds of transit, for a lot less than the $30 million that this project will eventually total to. And that's just excessive. That's my position.
Councilmember Graves, please.
Yes, oftentimes I have more questions than answers, and this is another case of that. And I was actually just looking at the budget the other day. I have a binder with the budget in there, and I had a question from a resident concerning this item. And if I read it correctly, I think there's a couple phases of Burlington project coming up, and I believe it totaled $23 million over 3 years. And my question was, where's the money coming from? Is that the city's money? Because there was also a part of the explanation said that we were getting funds from Missouri. Was it MARC is the acronym?
Yeah, correct. Mid-America Regional Council.
Yes, Mid-America Regional Council. So how much are they paying and how much are we contributing? Do you remember off the top of your head? Sorry to throw you a curveball.
I'd like to call on Sarah Copeland.
The funds that are coming to us from MARC are actually federal funds that they distribute in the region. We're programmed to receive $3.8 million for phase 1 and $6 million and like 36,000, something like that, for phase 3.
So follow up, like that 23, approximately 23 is our money, it's not from MARC, that's like our own City of North Kansas City. So
I don't have my
is that
budget
where you're
in
coming
front
up
of
with
me,
the
so I
30
can't
million?
tell you the total,
The
but
final, with inflation and increasing costs, the project is at least a $30 million one, as now envisioned.
Okay.
And we will get approximately $9 million of these pass-through federal funds and spend $21 million of our own roughly.
Thank you, Councilmember Saper, as well. Further council member comments. Is there where are we at here?
Second reading.
Yeah, we are ready for the second. I'm sorry, Councilmember Toll, please.
I changed my mind. I just wanted to say, it also includes the water that we decided to add there, which is going to be extremely beneficial to get that all the way all at once. That was a big thing that was added. And I don't see it as beautifying the city. I see it as a step in the right direction of what we're building, a way to slow people down so we're not just a pass-through, a way to make it easier for businesses to pop up along Burlington. That's where I think it's coming from. But I think the water infrastructure plan to go forward on Burlington is going to be huge for everybody, which we know needs to happen.
Sounds like we're going on here too. Councilmember Clevenger and then Councilmember Clark.
Just one quick thing. When we're talking about them coming through town, I want to clarify, slowing people down. I don't think we're changing any speed limit, and we're not changing any lane configuration. Is that correct? Sarah, or
Sorry,
whoever?
I'm trying to access my budget real fast on my phone.
But we're not-
The one time I didn't
we're not-
bring my budget binder.
We're not taking away any
No,
lanes.
there's no reduction in lanes
What
on the
about-
Burlington corridor project.
And to change any speed limit or anything, that has to go through MoDOT anyway.
It is a MoDOT property that would be
Okay.
up to them to change the speed limit.
So
on
we're
it.
not really, we're trying to promote a better look, but I don't want people to think like, oh God, Armour Road again, that we're trying to slow people down. We're not taking away any lanes. We're not changing the speed limit at this time.
Thank you, Councilmember Clark.
Yeah, and I think the other reiteration is that this particular item we're voting on tonight is about the acquisition of, those easements and being able to make our improvements that we want to make. So I think we all kind of detracted, and I wanted to hear everything, but I think for this particular item, I still feel very strongly to support it because it still fits into what we hope to accomplish with fixing things up with water and everything else. So this particular item that we're voting on.
Thank you. Further councilmember comments? Is there a motion for a second reading?
I move that Bill number 7640 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9437.
Second.
Hold the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
No.
Councilmember Saper?
No.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
6-2, motion carries. Yes. An ordinance declaring the public necessity to acquire certain property interests, permanent and temporary, along Burlington and the city of North Kansas City for the Burlington Corridor Complete Street Plan for certain public infrastructure improvements, authorizing acquisition of interest, rights, and estates in certain lands and all associated appurtenances and improvements by negotiation or, if necessary, by condemnation. Authorizing the mayor, the city councilor, and other appropriate city representatives to, 1, obtain and execute all instruments necessary for acquisition of such land and property interests, and 2, take such action as may be required or necessary to carry out the intent of this ordinance. Item 16, mask mandate extension, Bill number 7639, ordinance number 9436.
Kim, you want me to call on you? You just want me to go? Tom, do you have anything you'd like to update on this? I actually would note one update for everyone. Section 7 is now a new portion. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. That now would give me the ability to remove the order if it were to become necessary. So if council were to roll their order off, I would be able to. Right now, I wouldn't be able to. We would have to wait to our next meeting. So Tom did add a little extra language there.
That is correct. In the ordinance on page 4, section 2, the last sentence thereof reads, "The city council does further grant to the mayor the authority to terminate order 21-004 prior to the expiration date of November 20, 2021, should the mayor, in his judgment, deem it appropriate to do so." So it's just a right to terminate. It's not a right to extend or to do anything else.
Yes, I did want to note that for everybody. Councilmember comments? Councilmember Graves?
I'm going to assume, correct me if I'm wrong, did you put that in there in case Kansas City lifts their order? Then you're going to mirror Kansas City essentially and lift our order so that we're not in place and we're not like the only place around with a mask order?
No, overall, I believe that's added. I mean, things do tend to be trending in the right direction. I don't want to tie myself to anything, but yeah, generally that would be the direction things seem to be heading, yeah. Further, Councilmember Palumbi.
I, like you guys can imagine, I'm very thrilled to see the numbers coming down. But I would say the caveat that I have is I would actually like us, if we're going to extend the mandate, to stop on November 7th and line up where Kansas City and Jackson County are currently at. Because I'm hopeful that the numbers will continue to trend down or trend down even further than they are. But there are a lot. We have a Snake Saturday parade coming, so I'd really like to see that the numbers stay the way that they are with those upcoming events. So I would be actually in favor of amending it to November 7th instead of November 20th so that we line up with some of the other areas where the mask mandate is still present.
Is that a motion to amend? Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
There's a second on the motion to end the order on November 7th.
We discuss
Further
that.
further councilmember discussion. Councilmember Smith.
So I like the lining up with Kansas City, Missouri on this. The trouble is they're going to discuss it after our next meeting. So if they were to non-extend, we would kind of be stuck in no man's land. So I think keeping it at currently extending to the 20th, I think giving the mayor the option that if they, and the instruction that if they don't renew, that we go with that so that we're not the island, rather than giving our, kind of boxing ourselves in by putting it to the 7th, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that was part of the reason. So, sorry, was that it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so generally they would meet on committee the 3rd, go to full council on the 4th for a Kansas City, Missouri council. We meet on the 2nd. So if they were to choose to extend on that Wednesday, Thursday, and we want to continue on, they would have to call potentially a special session on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday if we wanted to continue on. which is part of the calendar issuing we ran into that made us add that additional language that would allow me to remove it if they went that direction. Councilmember Clevenger.
Our mask mandate, it ends on the 23rd. Is that like midnight on the 23rd after Spooky Snake Saturday, or is that before?
No, it's on the 23rd at 12:01 a.m.
Okay.
There is a motion and a second on the floor for the amendment. This is just on the amendment to amend to November 7th.
Can I ask who made the second?
Councilmember Roberts. Okay, so I know we've had a little bit of confusion over this before. If you vote yes, that amends it to the 7th, and then we go back when you vote on the full mask extension. If you were to vote no, we would go back and discuss the mask extension as written again.
So a no keeps it at the 20th.
Well, a no brings us back to voting again on the actual extension itself as presented. This is just to make the amendment.
Okay.
Councilmember Roberts.
Having heard all that, I'm going to vote no now.
You can always rescind.
I don't want to have this special meeting.
So they can withdraw the motion?
So I can
He can
withdraw my
a second.
second.
Yeah, since we haven't voted on it yet. Okay, now there is no second. Is there a second on the amendment? Hearing no second, the amendment fails for lack of a second.
First reading?
And this would be back to the original bill as presented. There is a first reading. Is there a second on the first reading?
Sorry, a second.
There we go. We got a second. There we go. We're making progress here. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no.
No.
Let's call the roll on that, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
No.
Councilmember Graves?
Nope.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
No.
Ooh.
4-4.
4-4, we will yes. All right, is there a motion for a second reading?
Okay. So that means I need to read the first reading. An ordinance approving Public Health Order 21-004 regarding COVID-19 in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri, and authorizing the extension of the effective period of the current order 21-003 dated September 22nd, 2021, from October 23rd, 2021 until November 20th, 2021.
Can there be further discussion?
Yes, council member discussion. Councilmember Smith.
Okay, just to make sure we're clear, that if we do vote to approve this on the second reading, with the understanding that if Kansas City, Missouri rolls it back, we would essentially accomplish, the order would end on the 7th. And if they do push it forward, then we would still have ours until the 20th.
Correct.
And have a second chance to discuss it at our meeting in November.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure we're clear.
Further councilmember discussion. Is there a,
Well, you got it.
oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Palumbi.
I think if we do it to stop on the 7th, though, we still get that same opportunity to talk about it at our first November meeting. I know that up to this point, we've lined up with Kansas City, but unless something kind of drastically changes, I do think that the census is that we're probably going to all be in favor of stopping it on November 7th. And if we don't see things going that way, we still have a chance to discuss that at our first November meeting and make that decision, even if it is prior to what Kansas City ends up deciding.
Further, Councilmember Smith.
So a no here just ends the mask mandate, correct?
Yes.
So we would have no mask mandate with a no vote. Okay.
That'd be correct. Yes. All right. Further, councilmember discussion. Councilmember Graves.
I wasn't going to comment, but I do want to comment. I mean, I'm sure this is about to pass, but just my thought. I think that if the mask order was lifted, I believe the majority of businesses in North Kansas City would have their own mask mandate. It's not like a free-for-all where we're going to be running around licking doorknobs, and it's not going to be insane. So I would like to throw the businesses a bone and lift the mask mandate. And I have no idea why we feel like we have to follow Kansas City. We're our own entity. We're our own municipality, just like Gladstone, Liberty, Riverside, et cetera. That's all. Thank you.
Further, councilmember comment? Seeing none, is there a motion for a second reading?
I move that bill number 7639 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9436.
A second?
There is a first and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
I got to err on the side of kids, so I'm going to say yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
I'm going to go yes.
Councilmember Graves?
No.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts? No. I'm sorry, was that a yes?
As a no.
Okay. Okay.
What kind of thing you doing over there?
5-3, motion carries. An ordinance approving Public Health Order 21-004 regarding COVID-19 in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri, and authorizing the extension of the effective period of the current Order 21-003, dated September 22nd, 2021, from October 23rd, 2021, until November 20th, 2021. Number 17, amending Section 10.68.060 regarding the use of skateboards, roller skates, and similar devices. Bill number 7634, ordinance number 9431.
All right, so I get to take over this one. This one's simply an amendment to our skateboard, roller skate, and whatever similar device would be policy. This would allow you to skate or use skateboards on any street that has a posted speed limit of 25 miles per hour or less. If you are on Armour or a street that has a bike lane, you should use the bike lane. And it also still allows use on the sidewalk as well, allowing riders to ride on the sidewalk as long as they yield to any pedestrian or vehicle traffic. You would be allowed to cross any street that's 25, so if that's a street you're going across to go to another street, that's allowed. Other than that, there's a couple of exceptions. Anywhere on the street on 16th Avenue, as I talked to Tom, we felt it'd be good not to be on the main truck corridor, as well as along Armour Road where the cars are parked angled and backing out there. But the allowance of the sidewalk would allow you to convert over to the sidewalk right in that period, convert back over. And obviously, we're retaining a portion that basically says you can't be on public property, tennis courts, City Hall. And that is the amendment, or the ordinance. Are there any questions on that? Sorry, that was all over the place, so probably get a lot of questions here.
There it is. I would like to ask our public safety officers if they see any problems with this ordinance in terms of danger when they go on calls or anything else.
Yes, I do.
Can you elaborate?
I feel like anytime you put non-motorized traffic in a traffic way, it creates a potential danger. And that's just how I feel about it. 20, 25, 35, if it shouldn't be there, it shouldn't be there. I don't feel like there's a problem with our current ordinance right now as it's written, sir. So that's how I feel.
And so what I frequently see on Fade is the kids always riding out in the street. Under our current ordinance, that would be illegal. They shouldn't be out there riding. And so this alleviates that. I don't know. Simply that's the.
I agree with Chief Freeman that our current ordinance is adequate.
Further, councilmember comments. Councilmember Graves.
I've brought this up a couple times before, and I'll bring it up again. I think that this is really kind of the elephant in the room is kids skateboard. We're not going to stop them from skateboarding. They don't care what the law is. They don't care what the ordinance is. So we're trying to basically make legal what they're already doing anyways, and they're going to do regardless of whether we pass this ordinance or not. And then, as I brought up before, once River Forest Park is completed, because I think the council kind of can only do one thing at a time, I would like to shift focus to actually creating a skate park here in North Kansas City, which is not a tremendous expense, has a small footprint, and then we can give these kids an actual place to go. so we're not worried about them skating in the street and skating at City Hall and things of that nature. We're not going to stop kids from skateboarding. I think we should just give them a safe place to go.
What I'd add is the stat I read. I don't know how accurate this is. This is 70% of riders use skateboards for transportation, using it to get from point A to point B. And so this just expands where they could ride on. You know, as you've been on the sidewalks, the roads have a more consistent experience, a longer experience, versus the sidewalks where you get a variety of, you know, bumps and I don't know what else happens on a sidewalk. I don't know why I'm looking at Crystal to bail me out on what happens with the sidewalk, but
She skateboards.
yeah, I know. I'm looking for Crystal's. Yeah, she's a trick rider though, so she's not part of my 70%. Was that a hand? No. Okay. Further council member comments. Council member.
I guess my only thought is, you know, with the feedback, sort of city liability in putting this into effect. We already know what happens. I mean, I see it all the time on my block, and I'm not like, you damn kid, to get out of. You know, it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, have fun, be careful. Obviously, that's everybody. I mean, I don't know. When I grew up, we all played in the streets. But I'm old. But I'm just wondering, you know, if this has some sort of effect on, you know, liability, I guess, for the city.
Yes, anything we do has an effect on
Sure.
liability. You know, at the end of the day, I can tell you this, other cities have similar type ones, and just because others do it, I know what you can respond. That doesn't make it right. But what the chief says is correct. Anytime you put anybody out in the roadway for anything, you know, collecting donations for this, when they used to sell newspapers for Red Friday or Blue Tuesday or whatever it was for the Royals, those things always create a certain amount of added liability. But to be candid, as my former partner used to say, if we did everything just based on liability, you understand, you wouldn't have parks operating, you wouldn't, you know, and you just go down a long list of things because there's liability associated with most everything. That's not a direction one way or the other how you should vote on this. It's just there is liability. And there's liability there is right now today, because my guess is, what maybe it was Councilman Graves or someone said, you know, they're riding in the streets anyway, and I don't know how much we really take the time to enforce that, to be candid with you. I might add, with the current one, there's liability also by putting them on the sidewalk where people walk. I mean, there's liability associated with that as well. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying there is liability associated with it.
Sure. I walked right into that. I know. It's just like, it's sort of, yeah. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I think my thought is just, otherwise, are we having officers running up and down the block being like issuing tickets to someone on a skateboard or on a bike? Or is that just one of those things where it's like, hey, man, I'm going to tell you this is super dangerous, but now it's open game, so you can, but it's still, you got to watch yourself.
You're right. We are not doing that, okay? This is reactionary to an incident that occurred a few weeks back where the officer would have done just that, would have said, hey, you know, skateboarding in the streets against the rules, get up on the sidewalk. This particular person chose to push the issue with the officer and created a situation that didn't need to happen. And that's why, again, I come back to, I feel like our current ordinance is adequate. And no, we're not citing a bunch of skateboarders for skating in the street. We are educating when we come across them.
Sure.
Councilmember Roberts.
Move to approve.
Second.
We need a first reading.
Yeah, first reading.
Yeah.
Adam's just excited about rollerblading on Swift.
Is that a
Very
motion
excited.
to approve the first reading? Adam. Yes. Councilmember Roberts.
Sorry.
First reading.
Yes, first reading.
There we go.
Second.
Okay, there is a first and second on the floor. All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
An ordinance amending Chapter 10.68 miscellaneous traffic regulations of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri by amending Section 10.68.060 regarding the use of skateboards, roller skates, and similar devices within the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7634 be placed on second and final reading as passed as ordinance number 9431.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Toll?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
An ordinance amending Chapter 10.68 Miscellaneous Traffic Regulations of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri by amending Section 10.68.060 regarding the use of skateboards, roller skates, and similar devices within the City of North Kansas City, Missouri. Item 18, Public Art Mural Contract Easement. Bill number 7635, ordinance number 9432.
A lot of reading tonight, Crystal. Thank you. Kim?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to talk about the next two agenda items together. The memo is the same because they're part of the same project. So just to give a little bit of history on the Crummett Foundation, the city is actually a beneficiary of the Tim C. Crummett Family Charitable Fund. And what that is it's an endowment fund. Mr. Tim C. Crummett, at the end of, as he began to do his life planning, he wanted to set up several accounts, and there are actually multiple agencies here in the metro that benefit from his choices to make sure that the things that he was passionate about lived beyond his life. So the city is a beneficiary of that. When the fund performs well, we receive funds. There is some guidance on these funds, and that is they are to go to beautification efforts in North Kansas City. So that's why on this memo you see it as a restricted fund. It can only be used for those items. And as the city, as the Tim C. Crummett Charitable Funds Project Committee, sorry, a lot of reading for me as well today, goes through and thinks about projects, one of the things that we do is we touch base with the foundation to make sure that their interpretation of the spirit of those funds meets with what they thought that this fund would be would go toward. Again, so beautification efforts in North Kansas City. So in late 2020, XL Tube actually approached the city. They had seen several of the murals that this committee has done throughout the community, and they had asked, hey, is there a way that we could partner to do a mural on one of our facilities? Their buildings, I'm sure you guys have seen them, they're along Burlington. They have quite a bit of frontage on the Burlington corridor. And they had said, we think that we have some prime location as we're a high-traffic corridor in North Kansas City. And the committee has long identified that particular area as a prime point to put a mural on it. As you guys know, there's big blue buildings. The particular building that they identified was the southernmost building. Councilmember Toll, did you?
Can we show it? I mean, in the attachment, it has a really good, everybody would know what it is if they saw the blue in the attachment, and then, is that possible?
Anthony, your exercising skills on the fly are about to be tested. Can you go out to the city's website and pull down the agenda? So while he is doing that, I'll just kind of quickly go over a few things while he's pulling up the image. Sorry to not have that ready for you guys. So the committee met remotely with officials from XL Tube and kind of went through a preliminary budget and site selection. So this particular item actually went out for a call to artists twice. The first time the committee didn't receive a whole lot of applications or applications that XL Tube was, there you go, XL Tube or the committee felt kind of meant the scale of this particular item. So the Crummett Foundation did adjust the budget. So XL Tube is putting in $20,000 for this particular project, and the committee is putting in $35,000 for this particular.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Quick question on that. I know we had original budget of 40,000, then with the new called artist, and we come back with 53. Was XL Tube approached with the increase in the budget about going halves with the committee? As far as that, did you come back and say, look, it's going to be over budget, we need another 6,500 from you guys?
There was a discussion, but XL Tube kind of had let us know that $20,000 was their overall budget for this particular item.
Okay.
So there was back and forth discussion, and an increased budget was something that committee had moved forward toward. So a second call to artists was executed, and we had a substantial response from the second call to artists with the increased budget. Again, please understand that this was all done during COVID when the building supplies price index rapidly changed on us. So when we first did the initial call to artists, we thought that we had a project budget kind of within a realm, and then COVID restrictions and a lot of chain of command issues, specifically around building supplies, happened kind of right in that mix. So when we adjusted the budget and saw the vast increase of the artists that did supply us with proposals the second time, we felt like the budget was probably more true. Up on the screen is the final mural that was selected and developed. XL Tube did join the selection committee and did review all of the proposals along with the Crumit Foundation Committee. There were some tweaks to this particular mural that was done in conjunction to make sure that it kind of met what XL Tube and the committee would like to see. So this particular mural is actually a historical index of North Kansas City. So I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's actually a blue U, and that is the Missouri River Bend. It also talks a little bit about our heritage. We were built, as you know, as a very industrial town, and a lot of our access points, specifically the rail and heavy industrial, are captured within this particular mural. Again, that was all done through the call to artists. When we began, XL Tube was very excited. One of the things that drew them to this was a mural that told a story and told specifically North Kansas City's story. So before you are two separate actions. One of them is the artist agreement, and the secondary one is an easement agreement with XL Tube. So the artist agreement is outlining what the scope, timeline, and budget are for this particular mural. This particular mural would be completed by the end of November as part of the contract. And part of the contract with the easement agreement with XL Tube is that this mural would stay on their property for 5 years. They wouldn't be able to charge admission. They wouldn't be able to profit off of it. So it would quite literally be one of the thoughts about public art and murals is to bring art to where people are. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Councilmember Roberts.
I'm just curious what the, is it going to be painted? Is it spray painted? Is it, do you know what kind of materials it's going to be used to?
It will be painted.
Cool.
So, and there is actually quite a bit. It's not in, well, it is in the artist agreement, but the artist does need to tell us how to care for the mural. And it does, they do supply us with, here's all the colors, here is how we, the particular artist will tell us all of the Pantone colors of the colors that are physically on this, as well as one of the mandates is that they must coat it with an anti-graffiting coating. What that does is it doesn't prevent that from happening, but what it does is it buys us time to take that, should, let's say, spray paint, say somebody cares to add to the mural. It does buy us time to get that off. Thankfully, none of our murals here in North Kansas City have had that happen to them, but the anti-coat protects the colors and it gives us time to remove any unwanted graffiti.
Councilmember Toll.
I just wanted to say thank you to Kim and city staff. This was a big project. I'm on this committee and I really enjoyed it. Also, XL Tube, speaking to their building, they were talking about how the trains were a big part of what they do, how they bring materials in. It was all extremely well thought out, and describing what the mural means is part of the application, and I thought this was a great entry, so thank you.
Thank you. Further councilmember comments? Seeing none, is there a motion?
First reading.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
An ordinance authorizing and approving an art easement agreement between Steel Ventures LLC and the City of North Kansas City, Missouri regarding the placement of a mural on the east exterior wall of a building which directly faces Burlington from real property owned by Steel Ventures LLC, located generally at 1 West 10th Avenue in the City of North Kansas City.
I move that bill number 7635 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9432.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Toll?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing and approving an art easement agreement between Steel Ventures LLC and the City of North Kansas City, Missouri regarding the placement of a mural on the east exterior wall of a building which directly faces Burlington from real property owned by Steel Ventures LLC, located generally at 1 West 10th Avenue in the City of North Kansas City. Number 19, Public Art Mural Program Artist Agreement, Resolution Number 20-080.
Any council member discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Number,
And item 20 was removed, so item 21, approving accounts due and payable by the city through October 15th, 2021. Bill number 7641, ordinance number 9438.
First reading.
Second.
all in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through October 15th, 2021.
I move that Bill number 7641 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9438.
Second.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through October 15th, 2021.
Next up, staff comments. Kim.
I actually forgot to send out the email to my management team to see if they had any staff comments.
I'm sure
So-
Anthony has something.
So now is the time that you get to ask, no.
I'm just waiting.
So in your packet are the upcoming city items of note, as well as the North Kansas City COVID-19 update packet. I would like to thank council for all of their input and direction at today's work session. We very much so appreciate it, and we will have some revised maps for your review soon.
Thank you. Council member comments, beginning tonight with Councilmember Clark.
I just want to say thanks to Lisa, George, Richard, Mindy, Dave, Jason. Yes, thanks for coming out and speaking to us from the community point of view. Always appreciated. Your words were not lost on us. There's a lot that goes into, obviously, our decisions. We are listening. I think I'm just working through those. Yeah, and I was glad, Jason, that you mentioned, oh, you're still here, hey, man, that you mentioned about it's important to speak up, to say, hey, where's this money going, who's paying for the water tax, you know? It's those sorts of things where if you might think it's one way, then you spread it to a neighbor, and then everybody thinks it's one way, and it's actually completely not, right? And so it's important to mention those things. And that brings that to light for us to make sure we're managing the message for our community to say, nope, that's all spread against everybody. Everybody still has to pay for water. And just a side note, I have a pool, and it's not fun to have this increase. It serves me no good, but we'll all share. We'll all share. I'm going to start charging for people to swim.
Is that an invite to a party there?
If you clean my
I've been
pool.
waiting for that invite
You gotta do
all
work
summer.
first.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing, Halloween costume. I'm part of the Parks Board. They're doing a great job. They've got a Halloween costume competition this weekend. I wanted to throw it out there that online it says that you have to be maybe signed up by Monday, yesterday. But you actually can walk up because there's some individuals that may not have access to computers and things like that to set up a whole account. But there is maybe a waiver form. But there is a costume competition for kiddos. Starts at 10 a.m. at Festival Shelter as a part of the whole Snake Saturday. It'll all be realmed together there. Everybody's getting along. Creative Original category group and Healthcare Hero. So get your kids out there. NorthKCParksandRec.org. Ghouls and Goblins. So yeah, there's a chili cook-off if anybody has any dietary needs. Never mind, I'm just going to leave that alone. But no, I appreciate everybody's input tonight. This was not an easy meeting and an easy vote. And that's it.
Councilmember Palumbi.
I wanted to reiterate what Amy said in regards to everybody that came out and spoke to us and let us know what you guys are thinking. For anyone who is having issues with or technical issues with the city polls or doesn't feel comfortable posting kind of their thoughts or opinions on social media, you know, we're up here to represent you. So please call us. Please let your voice be heard and let us know how you feel if you don't want it broadcasted or maybe you don't want to identify who it's coming from. You know, we signed up to do this publicly, and we'd love to represent you. So please reach out to your council member in your ward. And then I just wanted to thank everybody during the work session for having a cordial conversation with each other. I know that we've all have our own opinions in regards to the maps, and it's a stressful situation when we want to make sure we get it right. And I kind of want to reiterate what Lisa Toll said and what Anthony Saper said in regards to, you know, this is for the people of North Kansas City, and we may not all be here 10 years from now. And so we really should take that into account and take into account the needs of the citizens that we represent.
Thank you, Councilmember Graves.
Yeah, so the comments from the public is my new favorite thing. It seems to be growing in popularity, and I would like to see that continue. You do make a difference. I hear all the time people tell me that they feel like their voice isn't heard, and I can tell you that it is powerful when you guys come and have comments. It's much more powerful than Facebook. So get off Facebook and come in here and make comments in person. Secondly, I would like to give you all a life hack. I'm a parent, and my kids like the carnival regarding Snake Saturday. If you try to go to the carnival on Saturday, it is a nightmare. The lines are ridiculous. If you come out here on Friday evening, there are no lines. So I just let you in on that life hack. If you see me, please allow me to cut in front of you in line. And then also, have you guys ever heard of that thing where people say like a slippery slope doesn't exist? It's like a, slippery slope. Well, here's my version of a slippery slope. Now that you can skateboard on 25-mile-per-hour streets, I propose that we ride golf carts around North Kansas City. I am not joking. In fact, I'm dead serious. I have a dream that I can ride my car or my golf cart around, go to the Iron District, cruise around, go down to Mackin Park, pick up my kids if I got baseball practice, whatnot. So the police have a golf cart, the high school has a golf cart, public or Parks and Recs have a gator, and I haven't heard of people dying on golf carts. I think we'll be okay.
And then we have a city golf cart? Oh.
And then last but not least, one other thing. I like to point out things. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but if I see something that doesn't make sense to me, I'm just going to point it out. So I love the mural that we just were presented with. I think it's a beautiful mural, and they did a really good job, including Councilmember Toll on the Crummett Committee. But I just want to point out something. I actually do believe in diversity of representation, and I believe that different wards should be included on boards and committees. And I just want to point out that Ward 2, Councilmember Smith is Mayor Pro Tem. Lisa Toll is on Equity and Inclusion and the Crummett Committee. So Ward 2 has 3 total appointments. The other 3 wards combined have 3 board appointments combined. And I think that very easily, there's a couple wards that are underrepresented, especially Ward 3. In fact, I've had conversations with the mayor about this. And so I'm just going to point out, I think they did a great job. I'm not criticizing Councilmember Toll. I hope she doesn't think I am doing that. I'm really not trying to. But I think it would make more sense to be equitable and inclusive of different wards if one of her appointments were put in, say, Ward 3, and somebody like Councilmember Roberts were on the Crummett Committee to try to balance things out. So that's all for me.
And some of those, do we remember how the EIC, was that appointed by the mayor, or did council do that, select the liaison?
The EIC, I believe, was appointed by the mayor.
The mayor
Oh,
did
boy,
the
I'm
liaison?
reaching in.
I couldn't find it the other day. I couldn't remember. I know Mayor Pro Tem selected by council members. Oh, he does, he got this.
I do remember, actually. I thought, if I remember correctly, we brought nominations forward. I thought that the council members did. I thought that was different
Well, it
than
sounds
other
like we have
board
a split
appointments.
decision.
Well,
Oh,
but I
Crystal's
think you're
shaking
talking about 2 different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we are.
Me, as the council person representative, was by the mayor.
Oh, yes, that was by the mayor. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the
Okay.
EIC. That's, I'm
Liaison.
sorry, yeah.
Appointed by the mayor.
Helped write the charter for it, right? So you were the natural selection.
That is correct, and I was not offended at all, Wes, and even though this is out of order, it would make you feel good to know that I am stepping down from the EIC in December. So it's already in the plan of the first wave that are rolling through.
That doesn't make me feel better. I think you're doing a good job on the EIC, just to clarify.
No, thank you. And, we're always looking at reevaluating that and probably get some new people on the Crummett as well, because I think it makes sense to do it on kind of a per project basis. Get a couple projects in and probably rotate some people around. which is different than what we normally do, is you sit on something for an annual basis, and I don't want someone to drop in the middle of a project. That was it.
Yes, thank you.
Councilmember Saper.
I would like to make it 4 for 4 and saying thank you to everybody who came out and spoke. And we need to hear from people. Now, again, if you aren't comfortable coming and speaking in front of the council, please contact us, your council people, who it's our duty to represent you. Now, we may agree or disagree with you, but it's our duty to represent you and to carry your message forward. Please contact us, or do both. Contact us and come to these meetings and talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Toll.
I'll be, what, the fourth, fifth? Yeah. I would also like to thank everybody for coming out. I think it adds to the rich discussion. We like to hear from you. I get a lot of emails as well, so the more, the better. Even people that think, oh, well, we agree, I don't need to email you. I tell everybody, just go ahead. I can't say that this is what I'm hearing unless I'm actually hearing it. So thank you for coming. Thank you for emailing. Thank you for calling. I just wanted to say to Ingredient that I really do appreciate you coming in and having a business of over 100 years. Maybe he'll be watching this later. But we were artificially holding those water rates down by funding it through the gaming fund. So I do understand that it will be a big change in their overall costs, but making that fund pay for itself was really the goal and how most cities have that set up. The other thing about redistricting, I'm not going to take it personally. I hope nobody else takes it personally. I will be for the most compact map, regardless of where that puts me, regardless of what that changes. I see us as one community, and I think mixing things up is not always a bad thing. I don't know where people live. I found out where you live. Still don't know where you live, Adam. But that honestly is not playing into me at all. I'm going to look for the most compact map because I feel like that's the job at hand. Mr. Sands, super sorry for putting you on the spot. Thank you for pulling up that mural, though. I think everybody, when they saw the blue building, they know exactly where that's going to go. So thank you for doing that. And one last comment as far as people in North Kansas City Hospital being North Kansas City residents. If the North Kansas City Hospital only treated or accepted North Kansas City residents, it would not exist. There are only 5,000 people, just under 5,000 people in the city. So saying that those people aren't even from North Kansas City is a non-starter for me. Thank you all for coming out, and I'm done with my comments.
Councilmember Smith.
Wow. Lisa, you've absolutely nailed it this entire meeting. So I will just say ditto to everything you just said, because those were mostly my talking points as well.
Love it. Councilmember Clevenger.
Okay, settle in. No, I'm just kidding. Couple of things. Definitely want to also thank the people that came out, talked to us tonight. We do need to hear from you. You know, even if it's a message that we don't like to hear or whatever, we still need to hear it. We still need to take that into consideration. So appreciate you coming out. Great public comments. As far as the redistricting, you know, I definitely don't want people to think that we're just in it for keeping us in our districts, but keeping the districts cohesive and keeping people kind of where they're used to being, and if in any way possible, is something that we're trying to do. So I just don't want you to think that we're trying to just keep us in our own wards or what have you. Snake Saturdays, this coming Saturday, so let's get out there. Wes, I'll see you Friday night. I'll be out there at the carnival. And then thank you for the public art presentation and showing that to the public. You know, at one point they were looking at putting my face on the mural, but they didn't want to scare people away from North Kansas City, so they left it out. And the only other thing is, for those that don't look at the packet, some of my peeps here want the COVID numbers. Total active in North Kansas City is 26. Total recovering COVID-19 cases is 21. 7 of those are in the ICU and 4 are on a ventilator. So that's it.
When you said they were going to put you on there, who was they? I just want to clarify. No, I won't put you on the spot on that one. Councilmember Roberts.
Yeah, everyone did a great job today. This is the first time I've ever been last. Everyone pretty much cleared there. Ward 3 really represented tonight. Thanks, George, Richard, and Mindy for coming out and letting us hear your thoughts. I want to give a shout out to Sarah and the city staff for going through all the census data to create the first maps. And Wes, good job doing your 2 maps. They made the top 3. I know you did a lot of work. I saw endless posts. So thank you for putting in the time. We've mentioned it, Spooky Snake Saturday. There is so much going on Friday and Saturday, and Mindy works tirelessly to make sure that happens. A whole bunch of people, but Mindy's one of the main people that does that. Also on Saturday, one of my favorite times of the year, it's National Pit Bull Day. It's a day where we all recognize that pit bulls aren't these horrible dogs that they've been positioned in public eye as, these bad dogs. But they're the most lovable dogs and sweet dogs, and I encourage you to adopt, not shop, and maybe donate to a National Pit Bull Rescue or one of the 3 local ones we have in our area. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Nothing. We'll go nothing tonight. Life is great. Number 25.
Sorry, I was waiting for you to finish talking. Consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the interim city administrator to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute, Section 610.0212.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Toll?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Number 26, consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the interim city administrator to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute, Section 610.0212.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Toll?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
And as a reminder, there will be no further action taken after the feed cuts off. Thank you.